Well, Hunter, welcome to the show, man. It's great to visit with you.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on. This is cool to get to talk again.
Yeah. So you've had me on your podcast before, but I don't remember. You have to remind me, where do you live again?
So I live in Chesapeake, Virginia. And as you can see, there's a little bit of chaos going on behind me. We're in the middle of a move. We're moving up to northern part of Virginia, a little closer to the mountains and stuff. But yeah, man, East Coaster, Virginia, the
So
Old
I've always
Dominion.
wanted to head up there and do like the Chesapeake Bay waterfowl experience and go to the carving museums. There's so much history and tradition in
For
that part of the
sure.
world. Is waterfowling something you do a lot of?
Man, so that's cool that you bring that up because I've been thinking about this stuff a lot since I'm about to move, but that's really where my roots are, man. I grew up in the marshes and shooting fiddler crabs with my BB gun and just like we lived literally on a marsh. So that's I was just in it all the time. And that's the first introduction to hunting I had. My dad started me off in a dove field when I was really young, and then but mainly we were duck hunting. So my dad's a big
Mm.
waterfowler. We duck and goose hunt. He's got a place up on the eastern shore of Maryland, actually. You should come check it out sometime and have that experience. But yeah, man, that's where I got my start, and then I started deer
So
hunting over.
Maryland,
Good.
is that where most of the museums are? Not Virginia.
Um, you know, I
I
don't
have
know
certain
for
towns
sure.
that have like huge like
Yeah,
festivals
there's a
celebrating their.
really big festival in Easton, Maryland,
Okay.
which is like 40 or is like I don't know 10, 20 minutes from my parents' place up there.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of tradition and culture and waterfowl up there.
A lot of I I I picture punt guns, market hunting,
Hmm.
and those ducks. A lot of them being taken to like New York City, where if you look at a menu from like the teens, the 19s, teens and
Yeah,
20s, uh, you could see like canvasback duck on there,
for sure.
and it was more expensive than filet mignon.
Yeah, man. There's a really cool book about all that called The Outlaw Gunner. Have you heard of it?
Uh-uh.
Okay, you
No.
should check it out. It's called The Outlaw Gunner, and it's just a book all about that whole era and the punt guns, and it's all about Chesapeake Bay and all, right around where I'm from the Currituck Sound in, northeastern North Carolina, all the way up to like the top of the, eastern shore, Maryland, Virginia. It's all about that kind of region during that time you're talking about. Pretty cool book.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to check that. The Outlaw Gunner.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out for sure.
Because
Well, I
like you were
guess.
saying about Hawaii, there's, underneath the mainstream because of that whole culture there's a little bit of that almost culture of poachers and like then the man quote unquote came in and shut it all down, and but
Mhm.
that's also from the other kind of that's also conservation because those guys were destroying. I mean, they did a lot of damage.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, then we got the Migratory Game Bird Treaty Act and did away with market hunting.
mm,
So it took a long time for those birds to come back. I don't know if canvasbacks ever really
I don't think
fully
they
came
did.
back. I mean, I think that the continental population of canvasbacks is still under 2 million, which is
Sure.
why in my flyway, in the central flyway, we're only allowed to shoot one per
Yeah.
day.
And there's
Um,
other factors involved too. I mean, at the same time that's kind of ending, you're also having lots of habitat destruction and loss, and there's other factors
mhm.
involved. But that market gunning was, you know, it's a very interesting time to learn about, but it was pretty damaging on the wall on the waterfowl.
Yeah.
There's this
Uh,
one picture in the book. It's just a huge sack of corn and a Browning A5 with like an 11 shot extension. And it's like the most deadly combination to ever hit ducks.
wow. Yeah, and shooting them with lead shot too, of
Yeah.
course. Okay, so you grew up waterfowling.
Yeah.
Uh, Talk a little bit about what you enjoy hunting the most now, and subsequent, and kind of how that led to you starting your own podcast. Which what is it, like 2 years old now? How long have you been doing Hunter's
Year and
Quest?
a half.
Year and a
Year and a
half.
half.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Like I said, grew up doing that. And then we got permission kind of randomly to hunt on this from a guy at church on this farm on the eastern shore of Virginia. It's near a town called Eastville, Virginia. And so that was when I was about 14, and it was 750 acres.
Mhm.
Nobody else hunted it. Eastern Shore is a peninsula that comes down the Delmarva Peninsula, and the tip of it's Virginia. And so we have the northern subspecies of whitetail, which are bigger than our mainland Virginia whitetail. And there's no predators. I mean, I think there's some coyotes now, but I don't
Mm.
ever remember seeing even a coyote out there when I was hunting out there. And so when I was about 14, I started and it's a shotgun and bow only out there. So I
Uh-huh.
started bow hunting about
Do you guys
14.
have Sika deer there too?
So yeah,
I
there are
know
Sika
Maryland and
deer.
Virginia have
Is that how you
some.
say it? Sika? I never
Some
heard
people
that.
say Sika, but I think the pronunciation is Sika.
Yeah,
It's
I've
just
heard Sika, but anyway, we don't in Virginia. Well, I think there are parts of Virginia that have them, not where I was hunting though.
uh-huh. Okay.
But there was just a lot of whitetail. I mean, it was never a question of are you going to see whitetail? It's like, are you going to shoot one? How big? Like you're gonna see. I never went and didn't see deer. I don't think I can ever remember not seeing a deer. So
That's a luxury. Most
it
people
is a
don't
luxury.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I fell in love with bow hunting, man. And from then, I kind of took more of a big game route than my dad. He's more of a bird hunter. He did some deer hunting, but I really gravitated towards deer and bow hunting and big game. And one time he did take me down to your great state, actually, near Uvalde.
Mm.
And anyway, so, but recently I've really
For whitetail, or what did you come to
yeah, we were
Texas
hunting
for?
whitetail, and I
Okay.
shot a turkey, and my dad shot a hog. It was just like a
Nice.
friend's place.
Uh-huh.
That was a really cool trip, by the way. But so anyway, um, kind of making a very long story short, hunting's always been a part of me. 3 years ago, I got invited. Well, it was interesting timing. I knew I wanted to start Western hunting because I just love the adventure, the travel aspect of it even. Um, and so, but like a lot of guys do, I started kind of poking around, and it was pretty intimidating, with the draws and the applications and all this stuff. I mean, it's a lot. Um,
Yeah, I
so,
just let Hunting Fool do it all for me now.
oh, do you?
I
Okay.
used to, because I would miss application deadlines and you're trying to
Oh my
build
gosh,
points in every state that you can.
it is
Except for
nuts.
the only one I stopped applying for was Arizona, because I was like, they want you to buy the license. It's $300 every time. And they're like,
Yeah,
I'll just go on a guided elk hunt by the time I 20 years at $300 a pop, before you
exact.
even have
Yeah,
enough preference points to draw. Like, now forget it. But all the other
for
states,
sure.
Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Colorado now in some units, and then trying to keep up with whether or not you can get a tag in Idaho.
Yeah,
It was a
dude,
lot, and so
it's
many different species too. Um, yeah.
it's a lot.
So
I'm
it,
fortunate now that I kind of have time to devote to it because I'm sort of trying to go all in on this venture here. So like I consider that part of my job now. But
mhm.
like if you're actually trying to like do a normal job and stay on top of all these states and points, I mean it's crazy. So but anyway, so I dipped the toe in, but I was like, like to be honest with you, I was in very poor shape physically as well. Just I was kind of overweight, um and I just was like intimidated by the whole process of the applications and all that. So I was like, I don't know, like I didn't really know how to start. And then kind of by providence, a friend of a friend sent me a random Instagram message like, hey man, I'm going on this like walk-in DIY caribou thing in Alaska. Like you want to go? And I think he messaged like probably 10 other guys, like just, throwing it out there, trying to get a partner for this thing. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm in. Like it was perfect. So then I realized what I had signed up for.
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say you don't look like you're fat anymore.
No, so I sit about 180, 185-ish right now. At this point in my life, I was 250 pounds.
Oh wow.
You should see the pictures. It's gross, but and no muscle, not like chubby on muscle. Like I had the body of a guy who'd never went to the gym because I hated the gym. I
Uh-huh.
was just no muscle and just pure fat. So anyway, I was already kind of starting to try to lose weight and stuff, but this was just like the motivation I needed to really kick it into gear and start with the nutrition. I jumped into podcasts and stuff like, great shows like yours and other shows that helped me learn a lot. And started training my butt off. And anyway, went on that first trip to Alaska, and I mean, there's no way to really put into words, and people that have experienced it, I'm sure kind of what I'm talking about, but it was life changing. We didn't even end up killing an animal. But just the adventure and just literally the fact that just two guys from Virginia bought tickets and tags in Alaska, flew up there, and just, I mean, we had a good solid plan. We almost killed, there were a few animals that I had a shot at, but as a non-resident, you can only kill bulls, and they were, we think, very small bulls, but you can't, it's very hard to tell the difference between a small bull and a cow. And so we just decided not to pull a trigger on two different occasions. But anyway, all that to say was, even though we didn't end up killing animals, it was a great trip and it was life-changing. And that was when I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, because it's just, it's not that it's better than like just tree stand hunting like near your house. I still love that too. It's not better. It's just a more complete like experience of the wild and like challenging yourself on physically, mentally, spiritually. So, and just, I've always had that really like need for adventure. So it was like life changing, man. And then that set me on the course that I'm kind of on now, to keep it brief.
So have you gone back to Alaska since then?
Yeah. So last year we went with the same guy I went with the first time. His name's Ned. And he, like, the other reason I like,
I've never been to Alaska.
Oh, you haven't?
No, it's at the top of the list, I would say.
Oh man.
I started going to Africa about the time I was like, I want to go to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell in love with Africa.
Cool.
And I'm still trying to do every year an archery elk hunt. And so I'm just like, gosh, it's just one. It's a time consuming thing. So,
well, I got a tip for you then. Go in August, because you probably won't miss that. Yeah, you won't. Well, you could do this hunt I'm about to tell you about too. You won't miss out on your archery elk either. So me and Ned, another guy, went in mid-August, flew in to a high alpine lake on Kodiak Island, and did a blacktail hunt. And I think you can buy 2 or maybe 3 buck tags each. We all tagged out. We only killed 1 each, but made a really cool film about it too. It's an awesome, unique time to be in Kodiak. You're like in goat country almost, because that's where the deer are that time of year. And it's just lush and green and beautiful. And it's a cool time to go.
What does it take to get a goat tag?
I think it's a draw now for non-residents, and I believe it's a guide required species. So I haven't really looked into that, but I don't think it's super easy. But I did just book a sheep hunt for 2023, which I'm kind of excited about.
And you're podcasting full time? How are you affording that?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to reverse engineer that, man. Like, to be quite honest with you, just to be totally frank, I'm basically praying and going on faith that I can by then have a couple sponsors on board to help finance that.
Yeah, right on.
So I'm going to figure out how to make Doll sheep. Yeah.
Man. And so what, I mean, I've priced those things for 10 years, and it's just like, 30,000. Find a deal on one, still over 20,000.
Well, do you know Ryan Bassham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking to him
Ryan
about
quite well.
Yeah, I figured you did. I was talking to him, and man, like I always, like, since that first trip to Alaska, I was like, I have to hunt Doll sheep one day. Like, I want it's, and to be honest, it's not cheap, but it is the most affordable sheep hunt probably in the world. I think it is the most affordable sheep hunt in the world.
Desert or a Rocky Mountain, if you're going on private lands, you're in for 50 grand easy.
Oh yeah, 50 grand, and a lot of them are high fence if you're going to Mexico or something,
right?
Because they're bigger. I mean, not that I don't want to get into that whole discussion, but not that that's necessarily a big deal. But it's almost twice as much as as a Doll sheep. Anyway, I looked into it all, and I always want to hunt the species. It's the most affordable sheep to hunt, and it might go to a draw for non-residents in a few years. I've been hearing whispers of that for a few years now. And like you said, it's not getting any cheaper. It's only going up, and I'm only getting older and slower. So I figured I'm just doing it.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Well, you're 5 years younger than me. So
yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm not getting younger.
Yeah. Well, so what did you end up getting the tag for, or booking the hunt for?
How much?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to say, man.
Well,
I got a
we'll
pretty good
just
deal.
talk over 20.
Yeah, it was like, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but less than 30.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much where I mean they're
It was
going right
okay.
these
I
days.
mean, it was 27.50. I think it's with Rogue Expeditions. Jeremy Rusink, I believe his
Mhm.
name.
Mhm.
He had a cancellation for 23. I actually kind of got um I don't want to say lucky, but he had a cancellation for 2023. It was kind of a bad situation, but anyway, and I was able to jump on. But usually they're booking even further out than that. So that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
why I say I got lucky, is just because I was able to find one in 2023 and kind of lock in the price. Because anyway,
Yeah, it's only going to keep going up. There's no
yeah,
doubt about that.
for sure.
I had a guy tell me he outfitted. He was my black bear guide
Hmm.
in Alberta, and he told me he did a summer in Alaska. No, it wasn't Alaska. It was the Yukon. So,
Mm,
but essentially
yeah,
just as remote. Like he said, by the time you got a bell pepper into a camp there, it was like a $7 bell pepper.
yeah. I
you know,
like that's for sure.
logistically, it's a
Yeah,
nightmare. But
and getting
yeah.
there is far away, but that Kodiak hunt is way more affordable. I mean,
Mhm.
it's very doable.
So
And
all in,
it's fun.
what would you be in for? Because I've priced the caribou hunts where you would uh basically just use a transport service in and
Hmm.
out and then
Dude,
do a
that's gotten crazy
DIY.
too.
I think last time
You
I
ca
looked at, you could do it for like under 5 grand.
Oh, dude,
Tag
not
and everything.
anymore. It
Oh,
is
really?
ridiculous now. I think it's up in like the 15 range.
For a DIY caribou hunt?
I I might be misspeaking, so don't quote me on this, but I priced it out and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Not to mention, you got to book like 3 years out, and like it's crazy, man. It's Alaska's getting nuts with the. It's just getting nuts. So that's another reason why I just booked this thing, man. Because like you never know what regs could change. What I guess maybe the COVID stuff. I don't know, but it's skyrocketed and it's hard to get spots, even for those DIY ones.
Mhm.
There is still some like walk-in opportunity though,
I
to
know
be
I've got
had.
a buddy that shot a moose, a DIY
Hmm.
Alaskan moose hunt.
You can
Yeah.
do it, man. If I wasn't kind of already scheduled for some other stuff, me and Ned were gonna do another walk, and I'm kind of wish I could still do it, but I just can't this year. But so if you're planning on doing it, I would recommend doing it sooner than trying to push it off. But there are walk-in opportunities to be had too. I'll just say that.
Hmm. Yeah. So all in on the Sitka, or no, sorry, the Kodiak Island
Yeah, I'm so bad at remembering numbers, man, and I
blacktail.
don't want to misquote it, but I
Under
think we got to.
5?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the bush flight is like $1,500.
Uh-huh.
I think the tags are about, please guys research this. I'm just throwing numbers. I think they're about 2 to 300 bucks for a tag. They're over the counter. And you can buy a couple if you want. And then I think we got airfare up there for like $800 or
Yeah.
something.
Well, everything that relies on fuel is
Is gone up.
subject to change because of
Yeah.
uh,
But
our
definitely I would say
our
under 5.
fearless commander in chief.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The world is crazy right now.
Well, he's a senile idiot, so we'll just leave it at that.
Dude, I'm not a very political person, but like I really, really don't like this administration.
Yeah. Well,
Like
you're
really
in a
don't like it.
political forum now, brother.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. I
That's how
really
I
do
roll,
not.
and I don't care. And I've
Oh,
lost
dude.
sponsors, and I'll lose more, and I don't care, and I'll get
No.
more. Like I've actually, the companies that I'm working with now, like I just I tell them up front, like this is who I am. If
Yeah.
you don't want people that you're associating with to wade into politics or the Second Amendment, then I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave it at that, because and I think, dude, I think we've reached a tipping point where even these companies, a lot of them that have typically shied away from that conversation,
Hmm.
dude, I think they realize like, hey, there's one side that's, especially if you're selling guns or optics or anything like that, there's one side of the fence that wants that to go away,
Hmm.
or certainly restrict it. And this is way before Uvalde.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah. That's
and
just
then there's one
another.
side that doesn't. So who were you going to align with? Companies, right?
Yeah.
I think that for 5 or 6 years it was like, oh, we don't want to offend people. We don't want to be political.
Right.
We want to be apolitical. I think a lot of companies are like, we're getting on board with political
You kind of,
conversations. They're
yeah. I mean,
tough to
at some
have,
point
but
you got to.
yeah.
At some point you got to
Well, show
stand
me
up.
one anti-gun piece of legislation written by a conservative. Show me one piece of anti-hunting legislation written by a conservative.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh, crickets is what you get, because that's what the reality is.
Yeah.
So
No, and I
people are
love
like,
that you're so like, I saw your post last night, I think it was, and you've always kind of had that. Like, I've been following your Instagram since way before I started doing anything like podcasting or anything. And yeah, you've always had that. So that's cool, man.
yeah. Well, I lost Lone Star beer over it years ago, and
Oh, you
I was
did?
really,
Okay. And you're still Lone Star Outdoor Show.
well, they weren't. I was that before I was sponsored by
Okay.
them.
Gotcha.
It was just a good fit, but they were purchased by Pabst, and they're based out of L.A. And I was just like, oh, the writing's on the wall for this deal.
Yeah.
But
That's all right.
it didn't matter. I didn't care. I like drinking other beer anyway. And for like 10 years, I could only post pictures of Lone Star beer. So
Yeah.
it was it wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
By any stretch of imagination. But yeah, so what is your goal with your podcast?
Man, I didn't have huge ambitions for it, to be honest with you. When I started, it was kind of just a way to get my foot in the door and to learn a lot and to meet some cool people. I was like, if no one, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I love starting stuff. So I was like, and the other thing too is like, so I don't know if you've heard my podcast much, but and I don't remember exactly where our conversation went, to be honest, but I felt like I had a little bit of a unique spin in the space, in that I do address spiritual issues with most of my guests, almost all of them, not all of them, but almost all. Because I want to have that topic with guys and with hunters. And I noticed a lot of guys in the industry and big names and stuff like that are believers. Now there's a lot of LDS guys in the hunting industry as well, but still they have faith. Their faith is very real to them. It might be a different faith than me, but
Wait,
our values.
LDS, what's that?
Mormon, Latter-day Saint, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint. There's a lot of those dudes in the Western hunting community, and they're good guys. Anyway, I want to have another podcast where we did talk about tips and tactics and hunting stories and that kind of stuff, because I learned a lot from that. But I also did want to talk to guys about their spirituality and how that relates to how and why they hunt and stuff like that. But I didn't want to have like a podcast that was like really preachy or like necessarily saying you must believe this is the truth. I just wanted to have that conversation, and I'm not going to water down my feelings or my beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I am what I am. I'm a Christian. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I'll say that, but I'm not afraid to have the conversation with people who don't agree with that, and I'm not going to. I didn't want to be too preachy. I wanted to address the topic, but not be too preachy. And there's a place for those types of, I don't want to say like preaching is bad, but there's a place. I just didn't want to be that necessarily. So
my pastor had an interesting sermon on cognitive dissonance Sunday. Yeah. Like, I know this is right, but I am being told that this is acceptable. Is this ethically
very apropos to our times right now?
The world is telling me this is okay, but like something in my mind is telling me that it's not.
Yeah.
How do I rationalize those two?
Well, that's usually the Holy Spirit.
Maybe I can believe both of them to be true a little bit, but how do I rationalize which one? How do I vet out which one really is?
Well, it could be the Holy Spirit telling you it's wrong and not to listen to the world. But anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent. I had a little unique voice, but my goal now is always this, like I have the same goal with a podcast, but in terms of like career, my goal is to, I have a background in filmmaking. So I started making films with like that Kodiak hunt I talked about. I made a film about that. You can see it on my YouTube channel. Brian Call It Gritty saw it, liked it. He ran it on his YouTube channel. We kind of started doing some work together. So I want to go more into films this next year. We got a lot on the schedule in terms of filming, both my own projects and with Brian. And I just want to do what I love. and provide for my family. I don't think I'll ever be rich or anything like that. I don't have any illusions of that. But if I can do what I love and provide a decent life for my family, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're going for it. But I do want to go back to the spiritual thing. I think a
Sure.
lot of because I find that to be very interesting. I think a lot of guys in the industry, a lot of them are like apolitical, right? They don't want to talk about politics
Right.
because they don't want to alienate the fan base. I think a lot of them are believers, but again, they don't really talk about that.
Totally.
Which I don't talk about it a lot, but I do mention it. And
Mhm.
sometimes, I sometimes I cuss way too much, and I struggle with that every day as a father.
We all
I don't
have
cuss
stuff.
I don't cuss in front of my kids, but I'll write it on social media if I'm really trying to make a point, or I have another.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I have a political podcast that is social. It's political slash examination of social issues with my elk hunting buddy.
Yeah.
It's called Justified Pursuit, and both of us like struggle with that. So I made a point to be like, okay, no more swearing on Justified Pursuit. For me,
Yeah.
try not, certainly no more F-bombs.
Yeah.
But there were times when I would just get fired up and they'd just start flying. I'm like, God, as a Christian, I can't continue to say I'm a believer. And
That's true.
And some people will say, well, there's nothing wrong with saying a cuss word. What does it really even, as long as you're not taking the Lord's name in vain? What is
that is, yeah. So you don't, I mean, there are scriptures about, having no, basically foul language coming out of your mouth, but at the same time, I'm not very legalistic. I think God on the whole is a good father. Now he's also holy and you must try to be perfect, I guess, but like, I don't think you're going to go to hell for dropping some F-bombs. I mean,
right. He's not going to smite me down.
Since you have a public forum, you might want to consider, if you want to represent Christ on your podcast, might want to consider toning him down. But I don't think God's an angry God waiting to smite you with the lightning bolt. No, I think he's a good father.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I also feel like, and I went to church my whole, grew up in the Southern Baptist church.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, youth group,
yeah.
And the weird thing is that a lot of my best friends aren't kids that I went to school with. It's kids I went to church with at 40 years old. Those are still my best friends. Now,
that's cool.
Sadly, about half of them are no longer believers, which is kind of sad to me. And I don't know. I guess the younger generation, it seems like our generation and younger, it seems like it's becoming harder and harder to be a person of faith. Like the world's just becoming a darker and more devious,
hostile.
I feel bad for my kids, man. That's the other reason why I'm willing to talk about politics, is because what world am I leaving my kids if I don't stand up and say something?
I do not want to. I can't put my kids in public school. Like I can't.
I wish I had I could afford $30,000 or $40,000 a year in tuition, but then I wouldn't get to go dull sheep hunting if I did that. So. No, I'm not going dull sheep hunting anyway. But we moved to McKinney, Texas, because the school districts were good. Mm-hmm. It's not being infiltrated yet with trying to transgender 6 and 7-year-olds.
Dude, even the textbooks now, I heard, have like, there'll be like a math problem and it's like Billy and his 2 dads went to the car wash. You know what I mean? Like young kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man.
Do you know Jeremiah Doty from Field to Plate?
I don't know him now.
Wild game chef. He has the
name sounds familiar, but I don't know him.
He had me on his new podcast the other day, and he told me, so he lives in California.
Mm-hmm.
His whole family's there. He wants to leave, but he's kind of anchored there because of the family situation, and he travels a lot to hunt. So there's your support group who's helping with the kids when he's gone. But he told me he got an email from his 6th grade daughter's school saying, could she be, or did she want to be part of a health resources study or survey, And he was like, well, no, you're not going to give it to my kid unless I see it first. Send it to me. First question, and this is for a 6-year-old girl. Do you ever feel like you might be a boy? First question.
Oh my God.
Question number one.
6
out
years
of the
old.
gate. 6 years old, dude. That's the kind of filth that's being taught in California. And the same stuff in New York, dude. And I've said it many times. All the filth starts on the East and the West Coast, and it just tries to bleed itself into Middle America.
Yeah.
And we're trying to fight that. I encourage more parents to get involved with school boards, because that's where you can make a difference. A lot of people are homeschooling now. Virginia, right? It was Virginia just elected Youngkin.
Yeah.
And he ran on the platform of parents are going to run the curriculum in schools.
That was one of his big things. Yeah.
So that was awesome to see. Parents are tired of it, dude.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people doing homeschool now, pulling their kids out.
Yeah, that would be a more affordable option.
A lot of guys I hunt with are doing that. It's rough, man. But I mean, going back to what you were saying, I mean, I think there are a lot of guys in the hunting industry, good guys who are men of faith. And you're right, and that's why I wanted to kind of start the podcast, because guys like Dan Staton or even Adam Weatherby. Adam was a pastor for like 14 years before he started running Weatherby. Dan was a young life leader when he was younger.
I didn't know that. I hunted with Dan in Texas this year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I really had fun with him. He's a good guy. He's intense and a good hunter. But yeah, he's awesome, man.
Talk about somebody dedicated to physical fitness.
Yeah, for sure. He had like, yeah. He would take his shirt off out there, just like around camp or whatever. And he's like a freaking like Greek statue. Like his body is like crazy.
So do you still talk about faith on the podcast?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I even had the other day Jason Valentin from Bethel Church, who's one of the pastors there. He's got a really cool men's ministry. He was on. Yeah, I not every single like I just did a couple bear hunt recaps with Mark Livesey. And I mean, we didn't really get into faith and spirituality because we were recapping a bear hunt. But so like, but I would say most guests we talk about that. Yeah.
No, I'll be honest. I don't listen to many podcasts. I
get you, man.
I get burned out. Not burned out. I don't not enjoy my job. I'm blessed to get to call hosting a hunting and fishing podcast a job for almost 15 years.
That's awesome.
I want to escape with like music or mindless sports talk radio.
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course.
So by the time I'm done editing, because it's a radio show, primarily now this Campfire conversation will only be on podcasting apps, but because the radio show, dude, there's so much editing that goes into that.
I know. I listened to one of your episodes and I was like, dang, because to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts either anymore. Like at least not a lot of hunting ones, but I don't really listen. I listen to audiobooks now and stuff like that. But anyway, you have a lot of production in your episodes.
Yeah, it probably takes 10 hours to produce an hour and a half show. And
wow.
By then I'm over it. Yeah. Let's listen to some country music or something. But and so you've been doing it a year and a half, and you put out an episode a week, or how often are you releasing an episode?
Yeah, I started off at first with one every 2 weeks, and then I was like, okay, I can do this. I got a little library built up, and so I get one out every week now, and really trying to build the YouTube stuff too. So like I said, I had my first film come out this year, and I got a bunch planned coming up. I just was on a hunt with Mark Livesey and Lampers and Brad Hunt, and for spring bear. So, but
where'd y'all go?
Idaho.
Nice.
Yeah. And filmed Mark shoot a really nice one. I'm working on editing that right now.
Let your unclean butt into Canada, huh?
Dude, I'm not getting vaxxed. I'm not going to
Canada. I knew I was gonna like you more if you said I stayed south of the Canadian border for my bear hunt, because dude, I've had a bear hunt there on Vancouver Island, black bear hunt for 2 years. It's been booked. I'm not gonna go until they tell me I can. Poor Canadians, dude, the Prime Minister just told them they're gonna ban the sale of handguns because of a crime committed in Uvalde, Texas, with completely different style weapon.
Right. And
Why
then
is he
they're
doing
also
that? Because he
decriminalizing
can.
cocaine at the same time.
In the same breath.
Yeah,
that
did you
makes
see that?
sense. No, I didn't.
Yeah, they're decriminalizing cocaine and banning handguns.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, Canada's nuts right now. I'm not going to Canada. I'm not getting that stupid vaccine either. So
yeah, it's insane, dude. Like,
Alaska's right there. Like, why do you even have to go to Canada?
Yeah.
We have our own Canada.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. I really do
frontier.
hope to be able to hunt Canada sometime, but
the minute they lift that restriction, I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've hunted in Canada a lot, and it's beautiful. I think the Canadian people are great people.
They are.
But they've elected a tyrant, and they just have to get rid of him and all of his cronies. Start taking their country back, dude. It's absurd. But that's the playbook. Like, hey, United States, pay attention to what's going on in Canada, because we're about 15 years behind what they typically do.
Yeah, they're kind of more aligned with Europe almost or whatnot. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I had a French guy on.
I saw that.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Baptiste.
Yeah, he looked cool.
He was, but he said his message was very clear. Be thankful for what you have in America, because my country was like 30 years ahead of, I can see it. Now we're completely socialist. Crime is out the wazoo.
Yeah.
People sucking off the government teat, don't want to work. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of what we've seen here the last couple of years. When you incentivize people not to work.
And
they don't want to go back.
And the uniqueness of our, you know how rare it is in the world that you can grab a gun and buy a license and go out and hunt for your own food, like even on public lands and stuff. I mean, just that alone. I mean, not that, America's got way more cool stuff going for it than that, but I mean, that's rare, and that's a privilege, and that's pretty awesome.
Have you ever put any thought into like going to Africa?
Yeah, I've been to Africa on a mission trip. I've never hunted Africa. I know we talked about Africa quite a bit on the podcast when you were on my show. I have thought about it. I'm definitely not opposed to it. I think there are so many, since I kind of just started hunting Western hunting and stuff and really getting into it. Like, I've hunted whitetails and stuff forever, but in terms of different species and new hunts and stuff, like there's still so much I haven't done in America that like I haven't really been drawn yet strongly to go to Africa, although the international thing is starting to kind of kick in. So I haven't been yet.
I was just curious because it kind of segueing for what we were talking about, how great America is. And we're living in a time where whenever you disagree with somebody, here's the racist card. You're a racist.
Yeah.
You're a racist.
Yeah. Or you're a homophobe.
Okay. Guess what? I've seen real racism, dude, in Africa. And it is colonial, and it is two different classes of people. They are not equal.
For sure. Yeah, Africa's nuts.
And people say, oh, America's so racist. They're laughing at us over there because we create our own problems. He's like, you guys have it so good.
Yeah.
That you just create your own mess. He's like, and if it wasn't so good, why does everyone still want to come here?
Exactly, dude.
Do you think immigrants are coming here because we're the most racist country in the world? No, they're not. It's because it's a land of opportunity.
It still
I want
is.
people to think about that too. Like,
it still is, man.
You are not inherently racist based off of your skin color at birth. You're just not. I don't believe that God made us like that.
No.
Despite what people want to teach you or tell you. No, it's not.
No.
It's not the way it is. And my kids aren't going to be taught that.
That's awesome.
The kids don't even see skin color, dude. That's the thing. They're teaching kids to see skin color.
Yeah.
And to me, that's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad. I just keep I don't even see. That's the thing, is like, that's why I say like I'm not political, is because when I start looking into it, it's so bad. Maybe it's wrong, man, but like I literally intake zero news. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating. Zero. Okay. I just don't, like, I live in my world with my family and I do my thing. Maybe that's wrong, and I hear stuff on social or whatever, but like, I just don't really get into it because it's bad, man. And unfortunately, it's just the way the world is. Especially, I mean, no. That came off way negative. I'm not saying the world is bad, but there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world right now. But there's also a lot of good stuff.
Dude. You might be right with the world being bad.
When I say the world, I mean like society, like the biblical sense of the word, the
Yeah.
world, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with that God is not as prevalent as he once was,
yeah, or man's desire to be close to God. I'd say maybe God's still there, but man's
Yeah,
desire
yeah,
to be
yeah.
close to
No,
him.
yeah, that's a better way to put it. God didn't go anywhere.
Right. Man's
Yeah.
going off the deep end.
Mhm.
But I mean, I feel like on the same breath, I feel like there's a lot of other generations who probably felt the same way. Like, oh, this is terrible. Maybe it's just the way of the world, I don't know. Because I mean, there was, you go back to like ancient Greece and stuff, there was open pedophilia and like all kinds of crazy stuff. So I mean, apart from God, man is always going to be pretty bad.
Mhm.
So, I just don't pay too much attention to him.
Well, I envy that approach. I don't know. I guess I'm not wired that way. But and hosting this other podcast now, it's like I'm more invested in it
Yeah.
than ever. But I like discussing that stuff anyway.
But,
But
for sure. And, I don't want to make it sound like I got my head completely buried in the sand over here. I mean, like, I respect guys like you. And, there comes a time when you got to draw a line in the sand and you got, say enough's enough. I love the stuff that Sean Foyt is doing. Are you familiar
Sean
with him?
Foyt, I'm gonna have to check him out.
Okay. He's like a worship leader, but he ran for a big like Congress or something. See, this is how bad I don't know all the details, but he's been leading these like worship nights around the country, and like they like did some big political stuff. Just check him out. It's like Feucht is how you spell his last name. Anyway, there's a time you got to draw a line in the sand and fight for what's right and speak up. And I know that, and I know where that line is, but like at the same time, I can't get too wrapped up in the world because I mean, it says in the book, I mean, that's the way it's going to be. And so I try to stay close to God, do my thing. But of course, there is a time when you got to engage.
Yeah. I find I say we probably go to church twice a month, and I find it very important because my kids go to public school. I went to private school, so I got inundated with biblical teaching from kindergarten through high school. My kids are getting it at home and at church, and so they don't have as much of it as I did. And due to hunting, I'm gone at least one weekend a month. So that's one weekend that my wife has to take them by herself, or she works one weekend a month at the hospital. So then that's one weekend I have to take them by myself. And there was probably like a good 3-year stretch there where if we were lucky, we went once a month. And then we kind of, as they've gotten a little older, have been called to get our butts in the pew, and subsequently them as well.
Sure.
One thing we haven't done though is get plugged in with like a small group. And so my daughter wants to join the choir, the youth choir.
Oh, cool.
And so we typically go to church from 10 to 11. Well, the youth choir practices from 9 to 10, right when small group is. So my daughter has forced our hand as far as we've been talking about joining a small group. Now we're actually going to have to do that. I think that the choir picks back up at the end of August. So
do you guys, the small group is on Sundays mornings?
Yeah, well, Sunday school, like a small.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
We did at our church, small groups, like, I don't know, you can pick a night during the week and just kind of like get together in the evening, another night. It doesn't really matter when you do it. But I will say, getting involved in a small group is really big. I mean, because church is meant to be community. It's not supposed to be just a building you show up on Sunday and just have like really, the point of church. And first of all, you can be a Christian and not go to church. I mean, I know there's different people think different things on that, but church is about community. It's also shouldn't be the only place you're getting fed spiritually. Like, just like if you show up at the gym for 20 minutes once a week, it's not really going to do anything. If you're trying to grow spiritually, you got to be doing some of that on your own too. But church is there for community, in my opinion, and some spiritual feeding and worship and stuff like that. But when you get into a small group and you really get to know people and have like a deeper connection, that was a big thing for me and my wife getting more plugged into our last church. Was forming those, real friendships with people.
What's it going to be like for you guys since you're in the middle of moving?
Yeah,
Trying to get plugged in to a new church, because that's always, we've
it
done it
is.
twice. One time our pastor, the Methodist church, so I grew up Baptist, my wife grew up Catholic. We're like, I don't want to do Baptist, but I know I don't want to do Catholic because I went to a Catholic high school. No offense, I just
Yeah.
was like,
And my family comes from Catholic.
so I was like, what's a good middle ground? And so we settled on it. We really liked Methodist church, but the one thing they do, which was foreign to me, is if a pastor of like, so we would go to the contemporary service, and that pastor started doing really well and drawing bigger crowds. And so the first thing they do is transfer them out to their own church. They deserve it. So that's happened to us twice.
Interesting.
And so we've jumped churches a couple times, finally found a place where I don't think that's going to happen again, but you never know. But yeah, so you're about to experience that, huh?
Yeah. And it's weird too, because my last job, I was full-time staff at a church. So I was at the Christian Broadcasting Network. I was a producer for the 700 Club TV show for 5 years. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's Pat Robertson. Pretty cool. I got to travel all around the world filming disaster relief stuff. Anyway, came off of that, and I felt like the Lord wanted me to go into full-time ministry. And so I worked at this church, I worked there for 2 years, and I kind of helped launch the online ministry. And then I kind of started right around when the COVID shutdowns happened. So the online thing was like huge. And then, but I was working from home too. So that's when I started the podcast, when I was in that time working from home and working for the church. And so I was working for the online campus, and, so Sunday mornings I was here, like working, like, chatting with people and stuff. You know how it was during COVID. I don't know if you guys ever went to online church or not, but, and then, so it was just, so
we did. And then we bailed. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. It's not,
I couldn't do it.
Church, like I said, church is about community. If you want to get spiritually fed, that's cool. But like and you can watch church online. I'm not like bashing it, but like real church is meant for community, and you can't get that on a computer. You just can't.
Right.
So,
and the kids thought it was like punishment to have to sit down in front of the TV on Sunday morning and watch an hour of church. They're like,
yeah. And all the churches were trying to figure out how to do it. And a lot of them was awkward at first, or, it was a challenging time, like, because we were figuring it out as we were going. But
what's cool though is we're back to passing around the offering plate and having communion like we always do.
Cool. Just like good old, yeah. Yeah, man. But anyway, so it's all that to say is it's kind of weird because we've been sort of out of the routine of like going to church, because I was working from home and working on the online campus for so long. And then, we're, like I said, about to move. So it's like, we don't want to get plugged into a new church, and then leave in 3 or 4 weeks. So we're kind of waiting to get really plugged into one until we get up there into our new spot, but looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, right on. So what hunts other than the Doll Sheep hunts 2023?
Yeah.
What hunts are you looking forward to for this fall?
Well, okay. I haven't decided yet. I may still go film for somebody. Brad Hunt apparently has a good elk tag. I may go film for him in September doing archery elk, but I kind of want to do a hunt instead of just film somebody doing a hunt. So I last minute threw in, I have a couple of long shot applications in for like an early rifle and muzzleloader elk tag in Idaho, and a controlled pronghorn hunt in Idaho, but they're kind of long shot draws. But I just put in last minute for Wyoming on a 0-point unit. So it's going to be challenging. There's a fairly limited amount of public on it. But I think I can get it done. We'll see. I'm just going to get out there early and camp on them if I can.
So you drew a tag, or this was over the counter?
I haven't drawn it yet, but last year it was 100% draw with 0 points. Like everybody, like I think they allocated like 200 or 300 tags in this unit, and like 100 of them got actually taken.
Oh, wow.
So it's good antelope country. It's just very limited public. So it's going to be I'm basically just going to get there a day early, check it all out, find some good spots, and literally just camp there and be out there early and be the first one there.
Yeah.
And just see what
Okay.
happens.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm hunting Wyoming too. First
Okay.
time. Had 5 elk points that me and a buddy we burned them. So
Nice.
yeah, we'll be headed to Isn't
Archery?
Wyoming the cowboy state?
Yes. Are you doing archery or are you doing the general?
Archery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get general rifle tags or you got a controlled like
No,
you?
just general archery tag. So it's
Okay.
good for I think it's good for the entire month of September, basically.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Are you doing like DIY or?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Dude, we should talk because I'm saving up points, everywhere, and that'd be
Yeah.
cool to team up on something one day because I still have a lot to learn. But anyway, so hoping to do that one. Should be able to draw something. It might not be great, but it'll be fun. It'll be a hunt.
Yeah.
Then October, I have a really cool hunt in Idaho. I actually have an elk tag and a deer tag. The area we're going is more of a deer spot. But I'm going with Luke Dusenberry, who's another really talented videographer. I don't know if you may have seen some of his stuff and don't even know it, but he's worked for like Loophole and Mountain Ops and Go Hunt. Actually, that Go Hunt film that just came out with Brady Miller, the mule deer one, he filmed that one. So anyway, we're teaming up on that one, and we're both gonna like take turns filming and hunting, kind of a spot it got it type thing, and that'll be the first time he's done it that style. And we're going to make a film about it. So looking forward to that. And then November, I have a general rifle tag for deer in Montana.
Oh, nice.
And I'm thinking about, I may do that with like Brian and Ryan Lampers and Mark Livesey and their crew, but there's a lot of them. And Ryan wants to get, Paley, his daughter, to shoot one, and Mark wants to have his little boy shoot one. So it's a lot of people and a lot of tags. I might either share a base camp with them and kind of try to split off, or I may just end up doing my own thing. I'm not sure yet. Because I don't want to go.
So will you film that solo if you're by yourself or what?
Yeah, I'll find somebody to go with me or something. I'll figure it out. I don't know. But yeah, I could film it myself.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure how it's going to go down yet. I may work with them. I may work in conjunction somehow. Not sure. Or I might just do my own thing. I'm totally not sure. It just because I have a tag, I want to be able to shoot a deer, basically. So I don't want to get pigeonholed into just filming or like, waiting because the kid, they want to get the kids to shoot first. And then, of course,
you're going to Montana
better
with the deer tag. I would just say, you know what, you guys have fun. Make it all about the kiddos. I'm trying to make a career out of this. So
for sure,
I got.
But it's a weird balance because it's like it's also good for me to be with them and to be working with them and be, doing stuff and learning from them and. But obviously, people want to see Ryan or Brian shoot a deer. They don't care about me shooting a deer. But like I said, I got to build my own thing too. So I don't know exactly how it's going to go down is all I'm trying to say. And then in January, I am going with those guys to Mexico to do a Coues deer hunt, actually.
Nice.
With Brad, Ryan, and Brian.
I am supposed to go to Mexico for a mule deer hunt in Sonora in December.
That sounds really cool, man. I was looking into those. The cool thing about this Coues deer hunt is that we booked it with Jay Scott, and he basically gets you like a ranch, and you basically like have a lease for a week, and it's DIY, and you can just hunt kind of how you want, which is the way we like to hunt. Again, nothing against a guided hunt at all. It's just the way we like to do it. And but I couldn't find anything mule deer down there that wasn't guided.
Yeah, I don't know if you will.
You won't. I don't think.
They're so expensive now.
Yeah,
mule deer since I started doing this for a living almost 15 years ago. Mule deer is the one thing. Like most of the species have stayed, relatively close to what they were. Everything's gone up a little bit. Mule deer used to be like $5,000, dude. You can't get, if you want a trophy mule deer hunt, $15,000.
Yeah,
12 to 15 grand, guarantee it. Like that's the one thing where it's like everyone all of a sudden wanted to shoot a big mule deer.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really cool hunt, man.
Yeah, I'm not paying any 12 to 15,000.
I'm sure you're not.
I know a guy.
Yeah,
a guy who has gone to Africa with me twice. Is a Mexican friend of mine, and so
Oh, nice.
he has the connections down there. So,
Dude, if you ever want to get any of those connections on film, maybe you should let me know.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. If it's filmed, the connections might end. It might be one of those things where you come back minus your head or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I've heard some stories of some crazy stuff happen down there.
I mean, that was my first question: is are we safe from the cartel? Like,
Yeah.
like,
At least you have a
to
rifle
say,
in your hand.
my wife isn't real thrilled about Mexico, but
Yeah. My
I don't know
wife
how
doesn't really
yours-
ask many
how yours-
questions.
She doesn't.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Well, mine is smart enough to, or I don't. She's always been very smart, but I've educated her. Just don't. When will you be home? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever it's done. Yeah. Like now,
That's
like
good.
she does know like itineraries for international
Right.
trips, or if I'm flying, going somewhere. But it's like if you're going to the lake to go duck hunting or going to the deer lease, and she knows I'm coming back on Saturday, don't ask what time I'm coming back
Oh,
on
right,
Saturday.
right.
I'll be there when I
But
get
for
there.
traveling trips, do you ever have any open-ended? Like, cause
Never have, no.
okay, yeah, cause I might like, I might draw, hopefully, Lord willing, a
I've come
general
home early. Like
Yeah,
if
that's
I
good.
tagged out on the first or second day,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit around camp for 5 days. But
Right.
no, I've never booked it open ended. Have you?
No, but I was just saying, like, I might, Lord willing, draw a general rifle elk tag in Wyoming next year. If I do, I would like to go and just say I'm not leaving until the season ends or I kill one. But I haven't cleared that with
the boss lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a tight, you're not really asking them, but at the same time, I think there's a
But you're
proverb that
asking a
says it's
lot.
better.
You're asking a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you have how many kids?
I have two. And we're blessed to have some help with my mother-in-law, but there is literally a proverb that says it's better to live on the corner of a rooftop than in a home with a quarrelsome wife. And that is true.
There's no doubt. So the moral of the story is you guys educate your wives and just get them
Yeah.
learned up to where they're not asking about when you're gonna be home.
Learned up. Yeah. That's right, man.
And if you get backhanded, it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. So
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay. Well, where can folks find you?
Yeah, man. Thanks. The podcast is on all podcast networks, or not, you know what I'm saying? Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Yeah, The Hunter's Quest right there on the hat. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so you can search my name, Hunter McWaters, or The Hunter's Quest on YouTube. This itty bitty channel now, but there is some cool stuff on there. I put my podcast on there and some extra, like gear type videos, but also my filmed hunts. So that you can watch my Kodiak film on there. It's really cool. You guys check it out. It's something you can do DIY, and it's not that expensive. So yeah, YouTube and then Instagram at The Hunter's Quest. I'm pretty active there. So yeah, man.
So last question about that
no
Kodiak hunt.
Sure.
Did you see a lot of bears?
Quite a few, actually. You'll see in the video. I mean, we landed on the lake and we're about, I don't know, halfway finished setting up camp. And we look across the lake and there's a sow with like 4 cubs just like running along. And we had a bear fence, which you can rent really easily, by the way. And then there were a few, actually the last day. So on that hunt, my buddy shoots the 11th biggest Sitka blacktail ever recorded killed on Kodiak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. On the last, and then like 30 seconds later, I jump over on his pack and shoot another one right next to it, like on the last morning of the hunt. It's cool how it ends. Yeah. So, but anyway, that area we were glassing with the deer were like, I don't know, 800 yards on the other kind of side of this basin. In between, right before we went on that stalk, we had seen a sow and a cub. So that to say is, yes, we saw a lot of bears, but only sows and cubs, and they were
the ones I don't want to see.
Right, but they were no problem. They never came close to camp. I think if they even got any hint that we were anywhere near, we're gone. Now in August, most of your bears are going to be down low eating salmon and be fat and happy. October, November is a different story.
Yeah.
But we were up really high and saw quite a few bears, but they were polite.
Well, that's good. That's good. My grizzly experience, different subspecies, but was in Montana black bear hunting, and we saw more grizzlies than we did black bear.
They're
So,
getting bad.
yeah. Well, you can't hunt them. You know, we've tried to take them off the endangered
Yeah.
species list, but circuit court judges keep
The
forcing
antis get real big about
at
bears
the-
for some reason. I've
But
gotten a lot of
it was
hate.
wolves for the longest time. They really have in the last 2 years
Yeah.
kind of refocused on bears. So
The most negativity I've gotten ever has been on the bear hunting content so far. And I haven't gotten a lot of negativity, but like I got some on the bear stuff. But yeah, like my buddy who's really into backpacking in Montana said that you are required now to carry a bear canister for your food, like a bear proof canister when you're hiking. And they're like apparently big and heavy. And so it's weird.
Yeah. Well, cool. You guys check it out. The Hunter's Quest. Hunter, thanks for your time, man. Certainly
Dude, I really
appreciate
appreciate
it.
you having me.
Yeah. We'll do it again, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Great talking to you.
Take care.
All righty.